We're good to go?
Okay, good. So my name is Veronica and I'm a scientist and I'm here to talk to you today about my journey to and through science. It's a little bit different. I was looking at your website, what it is that you wanted to hear, what you're interested in, and Daniela mentioned that you wanted to see what immunologists do. So I was going to try and touch upon that a bit. But I also noticed from the people that you've talked to in the past, my journey is a little bit different because I'm from Sweden. So my career has now started here in the US and I'm not going the traditional way of college, undergrad, and etc. etc. So I wanted to explain how I came to be here, basically. And feel free to interrupt whenever with whatever questions there are, no blacklisted questions. So first off, what is immunology to you? What is it?
Your body defending against invaders?
Yes and no. That's the first thing I guess you think about. The definition of immunology in Wikipedia is actually the branch of biomedical sciences concerned with all aspects of the immune system in all multicellular organisms. So it's a lot. It's very broad. If you want a more detailed definition of what immunology is, what it does is it deals with all the physiological functioning of the immune system, both in states of health, because to keep us healthy we need the immune system, but also in different stages of diseases. Most times we think about the immune system when it's not working, but it's actually working all the time. So a common type of disorders are allergies, hypersensitivities, immune deficiency, and other kind of things. So still, it's a lot. So what do immunologists do, and what is it that we're actually studying? I don't know how much you know about the immune system. Do you know anything? Have you covered the immune system?
A bit.
A little bit. What's the first things that come to mind when you think about the immune system?
White blood cells.
Yeah, that's one thing. Vaccines, maybe? Yeah. So the immune system is, again, it's a lot. There's a lot of cells that are in different tissues of your body, they're in your blood, they're just constantly surveilling and moving around your body to make sure that you don't get sick. And if you do get sick, make sure that they are clearing off whatever you get sick with. You have a little bit what's called innate immunity, which is things that are able to respond rapidly. They don't need any kind of training. And then you also have what's called adaptive immunity, and this is where you need some kind of training. Your cells need to have seen the antigen before, and this is where vaccines come in. The reason why you get a vaccine is that you build a memory to something, and then you're able to respond to it. So again, there's a lot, and everything is talking to each other. So I don't know, that probably doesn't help you understand, okay, what is it that you do really? Because it sounds like there's just a lot of bits and pieces, and it's all about immunity. So immunology in the immune system is involved in a lot of different things. We have diseases like immunodeficiencies, which is basically you can't respond. Allergies, autoimmunity, when your body is responding, but in the wrong way, it's attacking yourself. One example of autoimmunity is actually diabetes. Your bodies have killed your own cells to produce insulin, so you can't make it anymore. So it's also a form of autoimmunity. Infection is the most common one that we think about when we think about immunology. Infections to parasites, bacteria, viruses, but also cancer, because our body is supposed to check ourselves. It's like constantly scanning ourselves and preventing cancer from happening, really. And then again, vaccinations. So these are a little bit what immunology is and what you can work with. But how about becoming an immunologist? What does it actually mean? How do you become one? So I thought I would start from the very, very beginning, which is where you are at now in high school. And I guess high school in Sweden, where I grew up, it's quite different. Because I guess what you do is like you just take classes and it's for everybody. You don't really make any selections before going into high school, right? For us, it's different. You actually select a program going into high school. depending a little bit on what your interests are. So I selected a program that's called Natural Science and Rescue Service. So it was oriented toward all natural sciences, so like math, physics, biology, chemistry, and all of that. But then it also had a component of rescue service, meaning firemen, drills, and things like that, because I thought it would be fun to choose something that was also practical and not only meaning that I would have to study a lot. So we learned a lot about that. We learned a lot about any kind of rescue service that would be associated with 911, but also emergency kind of rescue service. What kind of rescue service is needed in an emergency or in a crisis in a country, so it was a lot of medicine involved as well. And that's what all of the things that were interested me. I was always interested more in the medicine. For a while I really wanted to become a veterinarian. Clearly I did not. But that was always in the back of my mind, something that I wanted to do. So that's why I chose that kind of program. And also that would give me the biggest option when I was gonna choose to go to college and undergrad, or our version of undergrad. But choosing a program that is so specific and so study oriented, you're studying very hard. You're putting a lot of efforts into it because you want to do well. You're competing with a lot of students that are also very well. So after 3 years of high school, I was slightly tired and I wanted a break. So I traveled. My family is originally from Chile, so I decided to go there and visit family that I didn't know quite well. But at the same time, I didn't want to stop studying, so I did something that I would not recommend. I just applied to a bunch of different programs in schools. A little bit based on the interest of what I had read and what I wanted to do a little bit. So I applied to programs in biology, molecular biology, and a lot of nursing, because I was all about helping people, and it really fascinated me, the combination of helping people and also emergencies. Like we talked a lot about Doctors Without Frontiers. Do you have that here? Doctors Without Frontiers. Do you know what that is?
Borders.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without borders.
Yeah. Frontiers is the French person. So I was really fascinated, and I wanted to do something like that. So I applied, and then I just left. And then I left a family friend, because my parents were also traveling, and I told them, oh, just receive the letters and then just accept whichever one comes first. Not a good way to go. But in the end, I think somehow in the back of my mind, I had already made the choice, because my first choice was really chemistry. So I had chosen a chemistry program, because it involved all the sciences that I wanted. It had math, it had chemistry, you could incorporate a bit of biology into that. So that was my first choice. So I think it was always in the back of my mind that this is what I wanted to do, even though I didn't make the conscious decision to, like, yes, this is what I want for the rest of my life. So I traveled for like 6 months, and then I came back and I started my program. And I was actually very happy with my choice, despite being a little bit goofy in how I made that choice. But the reason why I made that choice is not only what I was interested in, but it was also what I knew where my strengths were. I was very good at chemistry, I was very good at biology, and I enjoyed all of that. So while there are other things that I enjoy, I love music, I love drawing, but I'm not good at it. So trying to get a career in something like that for me would be a struggle. And in the end, if you're struggling, it might not be fun, because I wanted to do something that I would enjoy. If this is going to be my career, you want to do something that's going to be enjoyable. It's not something that is just meant to pay the bills and something that you do from 9 to 5. You want to enjoy what you're doing. So I was very happy with my choice. So I went to Stockholm University. I stayed local. It's very different in Sweden and in Europe in general. It's not often that you travel far or move out of state to go to college. It's very common to just stay local. And it's also, we don't have the dorms, it's not a common thing. often you live outside. There are other things that I saw somebody mention, like, oh, you need to consider a lot of the extracurricular activities that are offered by the school. A lot of those things are not available in those schools. It's really up to yourself what your interests are to find those things. It's not like, oh yes, we have a band, we have sports. All of those are not things that are considered when you go to college, when you go to undergrad. You go there for the program that you want to study, and that's it. Everything else is on you. So it's very, very different. And I was very focused on like just studying, and then I was also working part-time. I did not, of course I enjoyed college life, like parties and things like that, sure. But the choice of like what other things are my interests was not something that was a part of why I chose the school. It was the program that I wanted to go to. And it's also very different because here you go in, you get accepted, and then you can go in as decided or undecided whether you're what the major wants to be, right? There's very different. Again, you choose the program from the very beginning. There's always some flexibility, and you can move around and you decide this is not what you want, which is actually what I ended up doing. I started off in chemistry, but for various reasons, I was put a lot of my, because I started half a semester later, a lot of the people that I started with did not start in the same program as they did at like kind of a co-join thing. They threw in a lot of people that were just studying just this course, and then they took a lot of people that were like way more advanced. So already from the beginning, it became a little bit of a struggle because I was studying with people that had already studied chemistry for 2 years. So while I did enjoy it and I liked the chemistry, I decided like it was a little bit not what I wanted in the end, because I was also missing the component of biology. I wanted something more tangible, something that's more, chemistry can feel sometimes a little bit abstract. You're talking about molecules, reactions that you don't see, things that you don't know are happening. So I wanted something more tangible, which is why I switched then. So I switched to molecular biology, and then from there on, I ended up taking a master's program in immunology. So this is where my route to immunology started. I took classes in immunology and decided that this is what I really want to do. I really like it, I enjoy it. It was hard, but I thought it was fascinating. All the parts of the body that are talking to each other, these very, very small things that were responsible for so many things to keep us healthy, to keep us going. So I really, really thought that was, yes, this is what I wanted to do. So after college, pretty much in Sweden you're considered done. There's no such thing as definitely going to grad school to get it, because I already had my master's. So I could either choose to go into work immediately as a scientist, or you can, of course, choose to go to grad school. And applying to grad school is very different there again, because you don't apply to a school and you're not competing with a lot of other students to get into a program or anything like that. It's actually more like applying to a job. So I saw this ad for a position as a graduate student, which seems maybe weird. How can you apply to be a student as a job? But because it's actually a paid position, even though you're getting an education, you're also getting paid. A little bit like some of the programs out here, you're getting paid, right? So it's a little bit more like applying to a job. And I saw this ad as something that had a lot of the things that I was interested in. It had immunology, and the other thing that I was interested in was like viruses. How come that we can manage the flu, you know, we get really sick and we can manage it, but we don't handle other viruses like hepatitis or HIV. So I was really interested in viruses, and I want to combine it with immunology. So this position came out where they were applying for somebody to work in the HIV field. So I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. So I applied for that, and I got that position in a school that, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called the Karolinska Institute. It's one of the best medical schools in Europe. And again, grad school in the US versus Europe is quite different. You go in as an individual already from the very beginning. You applied it as a position, as a job, you got it, and then you're still expected to learn things, you're still expected to take courses, but all of this happens on a very individual basis. So you make your own curriculum very much based on what your interests are. You can take classes at the school there, you can also take classes going abroad, and you can make exchanges. So you already here, you're starting to become very independent, and it's all about you. You don't have any classmates, you have lab mates and group members and other things, but it's all very self-driven and very, you have to be motivated because it's all about what you want and where you want to go already from the very beginning. So you have to start making choices very early on, it feels like. And already now, I guess you're considering what your choices are. But all throughout your life and your career, you're going to notice that it's all about choices. You constantly have to make a choice. Sometimes these choices are a little bit more random than other times. Because no matter how much you plan, it doesn't always turn out as you want, or other things come into factor. So I did this for 5 years. I loved it because it allowed me the opportunity to do science, which I thought was great. I met a lot of people because science is so international. We're in Sweden, but I think maybe a quarter of the people in the lab, the department that I worked at, were from Sweden. We had a lot of people from abroad. So I met a lot of people, made a lot of friends, and it also gave me the opportunity to travel a lot, which was something that I was very, very interested in doing. I got to travel for conferences, I got to travel for taking classes, and it was a very good time. I enjoyed it immensely. It was a lot of work, but it was very rewarding, I would say. I learned a lot, but on a personal level, it was very, very rewarding. So that's one of the things that I wanted to touch upon, the possibility of going to grad school in Europe. You don't have to consider things like is there tuition or something like that, because these are paid positions. You are paid to get an education at the end. And you don't necessarily end up with a huge debt afterwards. And it also gives you the possibility of not only getting paid to get a PhD, but also to see the world and meet new people. And maybe you've seen there, done that, and then you're ready to come back home and establish yourself. But after I got my PhD, it was again a question, what do I do with this PhD? What do I want to be? Because yeah, I have a PhD. What does it mean? What do you do with this? Being from the Karolinska, it's a lot of research, a lot of medicine, and I don't know if you're aware about it, but we're also very, very connected with the Nobel Prize. A lot of my PIs at my undergraduate lab were actually people that were involved in choosing the next recipient in the Nobel Medicine Prize. So there was always talk about research and going abroad and collaborating and just keeping the research track. So even though I like research and I still wasn't quite sure that I was ready to become an independent researcher, but that is where you have postdocs, right? You move on, you do a postdoc in maybe another lab, another field, can be within the country or abroad, just to get more experience and learn to become independent and developing new ideas. So that's what I decided to do. I wanted to do a postdoc because I was still very motivated to do research, and I still wanted to try to become independent and try to become the best that I could be to start my own lab. That doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing for everybody, that everybody can become a PI, because when you look at it, there's a very small percentage of all the scientists that are actually professors. Here you're a little bit spoiled because you have Stanford across the street, so it feels like everybody has a PhD and everybody are a professor. That's not necessarily true. There are a lot of other options to do with a PhD. But I decided that, yeah, this is what I want to do. I was very single-minded, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get my own lab one day in the future. So this question became a yes for me very easily, but the question was then, how do I choose where I want to do that? And maybe at this point in life, all you're thinking about is where to go to school, what is it, the education that you're getting. But once you start getting older, there are other factors that come into consideration. Once you've gone to college, maybe you met your future spouse, maybe you already have kids, or things like that. I actually got married while I was in grad school, so I had to take that into consideration as well. Do I want to move alone? Do I want to move somewhere where my husband eventually can come? And also a couple of other things. What is it that I want to do with my career? I said that I wanted to be a PI, so then there are multiple places where you can do a postdoc. You can do it in government. Here you have a lot of government agencies like CDC, FDA, all of those places have actual postdoc positions. You can stay in academia, which for me was the given since I wanted to do something that would keep me on track to becoming my own independent researchers, or you can actually do it in industry. So I sort of made a compromise, I guess, because I went to the NIH, which is both government, but it's also very academic oriented. And there were multiple factors for why I chose this location. A couple of the reasons that I listed, or how to choose your postdoc, I listed here, like location. I thought it was, I wanted to go abroad because I wanted to have the possibility of first learning from other people. There's a lot of cultural things to how you do science as well. Like all different places do science a different way. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also like a cultural, environmental component to science. So I wanted to get that experience, and I wanted to get the ability to like live abroad for a while, because when would you do it otherwise? It's very hard to just like decide that I want to work abroad. But science is a very good career that way, because science is done everywhere. You can do science pretty much anywhere, as long as you have the interest of being in that place, pretty much. But then there were other factors, like what are the resources in the place where you want to go? What are they actually doing? The technologies that are being used, and what kind of research are you interested in? I haven't touched upon what my research is at all yet, but I will eventually. So what is the kind of research that they're doing? Is that in line with what you want to do? Do we only have 5 minutes?
5 to 10.
Okay, so all of these factors were things that I considered. So I was there for 2 years. It was decided that it wasn't the best place for me. It wasn't taking me where I wanted to go. So I decided to make a change. So I applied for another position actually, which was initially in industry. I decided that, okay, I'm not going to become my own PI. I want to move into industry. So I did a second postdoc. And I did, that was a joint project between a big pharma company here in the Bay Area, Gilead, and also at Stanford. I enjoyed that one very much indeed, because I got to experience both worlds, academia and industry, and I learned millions. I learned a lot about myself, I learned a lot about science and the kind of scientist that I wanted to become. And in the end, after 3 years, I've stayed. Now I'm a research scientist at Stanford, and I'm studying immunology, but also more. So my interest is systems biology, in a way, combining the immune system, the immune responses, with things like tumor responses and what's happening within the tumor. One of my interests is ovarian cancer, and I'm gonna skip this because these are some of the things that I'm working on a lot. I'm trying to see how ovarian cancer develops, how we can treat it, and is there anything we can learn in the interactions between the immune system and the tumors per se. So, interesting topics. I don't know, are you interested in science, or do you just want to know how did you get there? Why did you choose there?
The science.
The science.
The science, okay. So one of the reasons why I really like the lab where I'm now. It's a lot of biology, immunology, and actually pure science, but there's also a lot of technology development going on. So we have a very cool technology that is called mass cytometry, which allows you to look at cells on a single cell level. What you do is that you stain cells with antibodies. These antibodies are tagged with something that you can detect. In most cases, it's usually fluorophores, but we are tagging metals to them. So what we can do is that we can either take blood from any of you guys, and then we decide to add some kind of stimulant, maybe some flu peptide or something like that. And then we incubate that for a little bit, and then we stain your cells with a multitude of markers. And then we see what has happened in your cells, what have your cells done in response to the stimulant that we did. So we stain them with metal chelated antibodies, and then we run them through this machine. So this machine, what it does is that it takes your suspension of cells and it makes them into tiny little droplets. So you get one cell per drop. That cell is then going through a plasma, which has the temperature of the sun. It's very, very hot. What it does is it just poofs your cell. It ionizes your cell into atoms, pretty much. And this is what it represents. All your cells integrated, disintegrated, and you're just seeing the masses of everything that is composed of, the small components. Carbon, nitrogen, everything that your cells is composed of. And then you have a filter within the machine that filters away everything that is biological, and then it just keeps your tags, the metals that you have tagged your cells with. And what you can see is that when you're running this through a machine, each row here represents a cell, and each column is a tag. So let's say that this is a marker for a B cell, so this is showing that it's a B cell, and it has responded in all these different kind of ways by taking up these markers. And then you convert this information, because it's very hard to do anything with it. And then you get what are called dot plots, graph plots, and then you analyze this either manually, because you are gating and looking at your cells, or you use computational methods to look at your data. So I'm using this technology to look at tumors and what's happening in tumors. So skip. What I've done in one of my projects, because I have a lot of projects, is that I've done panels for a lot of different antibodies. Basically, I've taken all of these things that are happening in the cancer cell, but also in the immune cell, and I took primary tumors from women that have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. That's you. Okay. And then I looked at all of this. And what I found is that there's a specific signature on cells that can tell whether these women will relapse or not. So this is something that I'm trying to follow up on, because I think this is very interesting. I took the tumor and then I found something that, okay, this can actually help the patient, and that's why I've been doing science all along, to help the patients. And let's keep that. You wanted to see what my day looks like and other things that I do. Basically, it's juggling a lot of things. You do experiments, you do data analysis, you meet to plan experiments, and there's a lot of writing, a lot of reading, troubleshooting, and teaching. Basically, there's a lot of different components, and one of the things that I like about my job is that one day never looks like another. There's always a high degree of variability to what I do, and that's one of the things that I enjoy, and I think you would enjoy.